We are slowly working our way through the 23rd Psalm, and thanks to that little girl, hopefully some of us are memorizing that too and meditating on that during the week. Well, a few years ago, I was driving home with one of my elementary school kids from a funeral service I had just conducted, and we were carrying on a fairly meaningful conversation about life and death. And my youngster said that the big question he had in his mind was, what is heaven like? And I thought that was a good question, so we talked about that. He wanted to know some of the details, I guess, to make sure it's something worth looking forward to. Well, after a while, he offered me this insight. He said, well, I guess there's one thing that won't be in heaven, huh, Dad? And I said, well, what's that? School, he said. He said, really? I thought you liked school. I do, he said, but it's just so long. I mean, Dad, 6 hours. That really cuts into my day. Now, my guess is you might be thinking about pretty much the same thing I was thinking as I listened to my child complain that day about going to school for 6 hours a day. You're probably thinking, what I wouldn't give to have a kind of life where I work a 6-hour day, 5 days a week, that includes, by the way, 3 recesses and lunch. Wouldn't that be a great life? You get to the office about 8 o'clock in the morning, you work for a couple of hours, then you go out to the parking lot, play some kickball, maybe have a snack, come back, do some more work, then you got lunch, come back, another recess. 2 o'clock, you pack up your bags and you go home to watch TV and play computer games until it's time for dinner. What a great life that would be. Of course, that's not our life, right? Our life, that life isn't even a distant memory for most of us, including my youngster, who's now a grown man. For many of us, 6 hours is more than you get to sleep in a night. 6 hours is about the length of your commute in a particular day. And the truth is, we probably would give anything where we'd have 6 hours in a month to do whatever we wanted to do. Let me take you back to when you were a kid. You remember when you were first learning to ride a bike? What was the hardest part for you? I fortunately had pretty good balance, and so getting on the bike and getting it going wasn't so bad. But my problem when I was first learning to ride a bike was stopping. I just didn't know how to do it. I distinctly remember one afternoon at our home in Richfield, Minnesota, and this is back in the days where, of course, you don't have to wear helmets as kids. And you tell your mom in those days you're going to go out to play, and she would just say, okay, wouldn't ask who you're going to go play with, and just assume you'd be fine. So I would go out to practice riding my bike. I'm riding out in the street in front of our house, and I remember distinctly there was this car parked along the side, and I was heading straight for it, and I sort of panicked. I couldn't remember how to stop the bike. I suppose I could have swerved. That would have been a smart thing to do. But I didn't, and I ended up crashing into the bike, scratching up I suppose I scratched the car up. I was more concerned with what the damage I did to my bike and to my knees. And as I thought about that this morning, I was thinking, that's kind of a theme for myself, because when my older brother Jim first taught me to ride a motorcycle, we were out in the woods somewhere, and he taught me how to get it going and how to balance and stuff, but he didn't tell me how to stop it. And I didn't know anything about the hand. I guess there's, Bob, is this true? There are brakes like for the back and for the front? Apparently I did the wrong thing, because head over heels, crashing into something. Stopping has not been something I've been very good at in life. And you know what? I imagine that there are some of you who've had that same sort of issue. You know how to get up to full speed. You know how to keep the throttle open for long periods of time in your life, but you don't know how to stop. Think back with me to the last time you said this. You know what? I need a break. We talked about this a few weeks ago. What were you feeling when you said that? When you said to yourself, I need a break. What kind of break do you think you needed? Was it a McDonald's break with a Happy Meal? And by the way, I discovered this week, Happy Meal has its own website, happymeal.com. where you can go to find out what the toys are going to be. If you go to McDonald's, there are games, fun games that you can play. Life is so much better now that we have the internet, isn't it? Or maybe instead of a happy meal that you had in mind when you thought about having a break, you thought about a vacation. I was talking to a friend this week. Last week he was at Lake Tahoe, and then I said, oh, we need to schedule something for next week. He said, oh, I can't because next week we're going to Yosemite. I said, what are you doing with yourself? I mean, all this vacation time. He said, I just felt like I needed a break. And maybe you've thought the same thing. You just need to get away for a while. But then what happens? You come back from those breaks, and all of a sudden you realize from those vacations, I now have twice as much to do as I had to do when I left on vacation. And my next vacation now isn't for another 12 months from now. What do I do? I remember with some measure of pride when I finally learned how to stop a bike. The thing I most enjoyed, though, wasn't just slowly braking to a stop. Back in the days when you just push on the brakes to stop yourself. What I most enjoyed was braking hard and leaving skid marks, right? Leaving them in the driveway or in the street or wherever. And that's kind of how many of us live. We know we can't keep going hard all the time, but we don't have a lot of time to spare. So we learn to brake hard, to come skidding to a quick stop, and then we take off again at full speed. That's how many of us have lived much of our lives. We go hard, we brake hard, we skid to a stop, and then we take off again as fast as we can because there's just so much to do. In fact, I imagine that many people in our valley here live just that way. And we, frankly, have gotten pretty good at it. We've learned how to take care of our bodies pretty well, even under that sort of a stressful situation. We take our vitamins. We squeeze in some exercise or some yoga here and there. We fit in a movie every once in a while just to kind of chill out. And everything seems to be okay, except for our souls. We don't have time to give our souls what they need. We give our bodies maybe what they need. We take a break mentally, but we don't know how to give our souls rest, how to refresh, how to restore our souls. You ever felt that way? Ever felt that maybe you were sort of just drying up on the inside, like your body could keep going, but your spirit was just past burnout? When I get that way, and it happens, I feel very small inside. I feel sort of like my soul has just shriveled up, like a basketball that all the air has gone out of. Well, when we need a break, when our souls need rest, it's time to turn again to Psalm 23. Here's how it begins. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. Our shepherd knows that our souls need rest, that our spirits need refreshing. And he promises that if we make him our shepherd, if we follow him where he leads us, he will best that we need. So this morning, the last few minutes that we have together, we want to discover how our shepherd provides the rest and the refreshment that our souls need, even when our schedules are full, and it just seems like there's not enough time in the day to do all the things we need to do. Well, here's the first phrase we're looking at this morning. It's the first half of verse 2 of Psalm 23. He makes me lie down in green pastures. Now, part of me does not relate to that at all. Now that I'm 59, no one has to make me lie down. I am very willing to lie down. All you need to do to make me lie down is give me a remote, and then I will lie down. I need a lot of things in my life. I don't need anyone to make me lie down. Kids are different. Have you noticed this? Kids often need to be made to lie down. My granddaughter Mackenzie, 20 months old, lying down is not something that she usually likes to do. It's something that mom and dad, need to make her do. More commonly, kids they want to run, they want to jump, they want to ride bikes or skateboard or dance or do gymnastics, but they don't want to lie down. You kind of have to make them. We would think it would be easy to make sheep lie down. I mean, what else is there for sheep to do besides eat and sleep? That's all my dogs did when I had dogs. I can't imagine that a sheep's life is any busier than a dog's life. But the truth is, we are told by those who make their living taking care of sheep that sheep do not lie down easily. One such shepherd, Philip Keller, has written this. The strange thing about sheep is that because of their very makeup, it is almost impossible for them to be made to lie down unless 4 requirements are met. And then he gives us the 4. He says, first, sheep refuse to lie down unless they are free of friction with each other. Second, they won't lie down unless they're free of pests. Third, sheep won't lie down unless they're free of hunger. And most significantly, he writes, sheep won't lie down no matter how much you coax them unless they're free from fear. And then Keller goes on to talk a little bit more about that last one. He explains that sheep are very timid creatures. They frighten very easily. It doesn't take a wolf to frighten a sheep. A stray rabbit bounding across the meadow will send a herd of sheep into absolute panic. The reason for their timidity, when you think about it, is kind of obvious. They have no real way to protect themselves. No sharp teeth, no horns, no long claws, no powerful muscles. The only way sheep know how to protect themselves is to run. So they run whenever they sense the slightest chance of danger. So the question is then, how does a shepherd calm the sheep's fears so that they will lie down and rest? He just stays with them. Nothing is as reassuring to sheep, Keller writes, as to know that their shepherd is simply with them, to know that their shepherd will be there. As long as the sheep can see their shepherd, he says, they will relax enough to lie down and rest. In John 10, in the New Testament, Jesus calls himself the Good Shepherd. One of the ways the shepherd cares for his sheep, Jesus explained, is by being their gate. Here's the text from John chapter 10. Jesus said to them again, I tell you the truth, I am the gate for the sheep. All who ever came before me were thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. He will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief, he says, by contrast, comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. When the shepherd wants his sheep to rest, what he does is he puts them in a pen. The pen is simply an open area that's encircled by a fence of some kind. Sometimes it's just rocks. In Jesus' day, it was common for the shepherd himself to sleep with his body across the entrance to that pen. He, in effect, was the gate. And as long as he was the gate, no enemies could get in to harm the sheep, and the sheep could not stray away from the care of